Just what's driving the alarming surge in Australian business insolvencies? A 50% spike has been recorded as rising costs take their toll on companies nationwide, leaving many businesses concerned about their financial future. Joining me now is Andrew Woodward from the Investors Way and Investment Insights right here on Ticker. Good to have you with me, my friend. What factors are contributing most to this surge in insolvencies we continue to see?
Good to be with you, Mike. And look, the surge in insolvencies is unfortunately something that we've talked about on this program a lot, and it's obviously the impact of interest rates. And the continued effect those interest rates are having across the board, not just obviously in interest payments, but in rising costs, and therefore all the ongoing costs that businesses are trying to meet are just causing more and more pressure on small business and even some of the larger businesses, which we've seen recently in the news as casinos are even potentially going into insolvency.
You know, it's dire when the casinos are feeling it, but are there particular industries beyond that that are being hit hardest by these rising costs?
Yeah, it's no surprise to hear that hospitality is one of those sectors that's their insolvencies are up 70% already, and that's a pretty significant sign that raw material costs, the food, beverage costs, all those types of things, they're flowing on to the business. Their businesses are finding it hard to pass that cost on to the consumer, and as a result, profits are eroding, and it's becoming harder and harder, and that's putting a lot of pressure on small business.
Yeah, so how are small and medium-sized businesses coping in this environment? What sort of things are we seeing when it comes to survival mode, I suppose you'd call it?
Yeah, look, I think obviously increasing your costs is your prices is one of the only things you can do. And we saw recently a cafe owner saying that he couldn't justify charging $8 and $9 for a coffee, and so he'd rather go out of business than charge his customers that level of cost for a coffee. So, it's very difficult. One of the other things that we're seeing is the tax office is being extremely aggressive with tax collection, and so some of those historical leniencies or even payment plans that the tax office was giving small business to enable them to trade through these periods, that's being eroded, and so the options are very, very limited, other than raising prices, and all that does is feed into the inflation argument, which then feeds into the argument as to why we can't cut rates, and before we know it, we're on a merry-go-round and we can't get off.
Yeah, okay, so what can businesses do to navigate these challenging economic conditions based on what you're seeing? You work with a lot of people out there who are on the ground, living and learning. Tell us more.
Look, I think if they are starting to struggle, they have to speak up. I think if you try not to address the problem, then you're going to get yourself into bigger strife. So if you're feeling difficulty, speak to your suppliers, speak to the tax office, speak to the bank, and get ahead of it, and just see if they will give you some more favourable terms to enable you to trade beyond the current problems that you might be encountering. Obviously, coming out of the festive season, there's all different types of businesses that are either had really strong periods, others will have had weaker periods. So it's just a case of speaking up and seeing what support you might be able to get from your business community, whether it's suppliers, banks, or the tax office, so that you can trade your way through this difficult period. Obviously, if the numbers are suggesting that there's no way out, then you really do need to speak to your accountant and work out what is the best way to manage your way out of the business so that you don't lose everything as a result of an insolvency.
Yeah, good answer by you there. I'm curious to know, a lot of blame pointed at the government, obviously. Are there any government or financial incentives or initiatives that could help stabilise the situation that you wanted to bring to the table this morning?
Look, I'm not across any specific, because obviously every industry is different, and all the different types of potential grants or whatever it might be that are out there are going to be different to each industry. But I think one of the things that the government really needs to look at is how can we get these interest rates down and help businesses to trade more profitably in this environment. And with interest rates just being so stubbornly high, it just hasn't helped. And in reality, we're in a recession. The only reason we're not in a technical recession is because of government spending. So I think there needs to be more recognition of the fact that we are, and businesses are struggling with, recessionary type circumstances without the technical definition being applied. And so it just needs the government to be a little bit more forthright in trying to do things that will encourage a reduction in interest rates.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Woodward, thank you for joining us on the program and, of course, outlining the latest when it comes to everything that's going on with businesses at the moment. Tough times ahead.
Thanks, Mike.